Okay. Hello, my name is Danilo Moroni, and we are now live here on Google Hangout on Air. And today I'm very happy to introduce a longtime friend of mine and mentor in many ways, Mr. Nick Delzotto. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, it's my pleasure. So I just want to ask you a couple of questions about Google Apps and what got you interested in technology and are you implementing it now, or have you ever used the apps in the past? And anything that you can tell people about how to use technology in the classroom, for example. You're obviously a teacher, and uh,
Well, first of all, I got to say, I think technology is integral in the classroom. I see applications for technology everywhere, and the kids get a lot more engaged when they're able to use the technology. I've been using Google Apps for Education for years now. We implemented an e-portfolio system using Google Sites and having students make their own website and add all their documents and stuff they created.
great.
That was in a community college, and now I'm teaching seventh grade English.
Oh, great.
Getting started at the school there, and I'm very excited about using Google Classrooms
Oh,
because I can post an assignment. Um, Students all submit it. It tells me who submitted it, who didn't submit it, and it's just a lot more efficient.
so it's the Google Classroom is relatively new, and do you find that it's pretty easy to use? And what recommendations or what advice would you give to people who are starting out with Google Classroom?
Well, I'd say don't be intimidated because it is easy, it is intuitive, and I'd recommend to let the students have a lot of ownership. The way
Absolutely.
it works is that you can make announcements, but you could also allow students to make announcements.
Mhm.
Students could post messages to you when they submit assignments. One feature I really like is that I can make a template and then send off a copy of the template to each student. So, I can send them off a graphic organizer on their argumentative essay.
Mhm.
Each student can fill it out, have their own copy, and then when they're ready to share it with me, they just hit submit. There's actually a little submit button right on
Yeah.
the do it. So, really excited about Google Classroom. I think it's
Great.
easy to use, and let the students have ownership.
Sounds great. And besides Classroom, are there any other applications that you really enjoy? I know you've mastered pretty much all of the Google apps. Was there anyone in particular that you really enjoy?
Well, I'd have to go with what started it all for me was just Docs. Having an application where you could have any document online, you don't have to press save. Revision history is another one of my favorite features. I just learned about the citation feature, which makes
That's a great one. That's a
English
great
teachers happy because
Absolutely.
the students could just hit the citation button and their little footnote is there, and at least they're not plagiarizing.
Exactly. In theory, anyway.
Right.
Which is great. So Google Docs is huge. I use it a lot in my classes as well. And how would you use that in you're teaching sixth, seventh grade? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's part of the entire ecosystem because each student, of course, has their Google account, and we're able to link it to the Google Classroom.
Mhm.
And one of the best things that I saw the students take initiative is making suggestions for each other.
Mhm.
So not only was I proofreading, but the students caught on that they could share the paper with each other. And what really impressed me is that instead of giving like editing permissions,
Mhm.
instead they just said something like students could make suggestions,
Mhm.
right? And
Right.
so the student would make a suggestion like, I think you need a comma here.
Right.
And then the other student would be like, oh, I noticed that. And then there's even like a resolve button, and then like that issue is resolved.
Are you talking about perhaps the comments feature? Is that the one you're referring to?
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, it might be
Yeah.
the future.
Yeah.
But once again, I would say let the students press all the buttons and learn how to use it because they were impressing me the way they were able to collaborate.
Absolutely. And they do really figure out the stuff really quickly. I mean, that's something about the younger generation. I'm older by now, but I still love all things dealing with technology. And so when I show them something, a week later they turn around and give me something I never imagined they could possibly do. And it blows me away how incredibly quickly they take to this technology. And how innovative they are as well. Do you
Yeah,
find
I'm really excited about it. I mean, the impact it's having on my class, and it's relatively new.
that? Hmm.
But students that would have trouble focusing,
Hmm.
like this technology is a way to help them, remain engaged. And
Right.
so some of the behavior management issues that I had in the past just aren't there because I guess students feel like they have something they can work with that they're comfortable with.
I think you might have hit the nail on the head. There's something about they're comfortable with these devices, and a lot of time we face resistance not from the younger generation, but more often than not from the older generation who feel that it's kind of impinging on our educational standards. So,
You're right. If more educators opened their minds and allowed students to actually have jobs, instructing, technical support, I mean, you could really empower the students with this and give them something that they could be good at.
absolutely. Well, thank you so much for this first meeting. Hopefully, we'll have a couple more down the line and to see how things are going with you and your kids and the Google Apps and all the education devices that you're using there. And so I just want to thank Nick Delzotto again for being my guest here. And anything you want to add before we close out?
No, it's just it was a pleasure being your guest, and I look forward to continuing the conversation. Thank you very much.
Great, great. Thank you so much, Nick. And I'll see you next time.
Okay, aloha.
Aloha. So I'm going to